One team has already punched its ticket to the Final Four. That is BYU for the first time ever. Second one about to happen here in Charlotte. Baylor, the number one seed in the region, taking on third-seeded Seton Hall. Hi there again, so glad to have you along. With Mike Abelson, I'm Alex Perlman, and Mike, Baylor has absolutely steamrolled through this tournament so far. On the flip side, Seton Hall has had a pretty easy road to get here, defeating a 14-11 and a 15 seed. First time they'll face a single-digit seed this entire tournament.
I mean, I know that Seton Hall certainly has had an unconventional run to the Elite Eight, but this team definitely has the horses to get past the one seed. Any team with a player of the talent of Miles Powell can certainly compete with anyone in the country.
Powell's named the Jerry West Award winner, given annually the top shooting guard in the country, and there you see him. Starting things off against Baylor, the Bears under one of their best seasons ever with Scott Drew at the helm, and Seton Hall wins the tip, and we are underway here in Charlotte. Seton Hall and Baylor for a chance at the Final Four. There's Quincy McKnight, terrific point guard, the senior out of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he will immediately go to the free throw line as Maceo Teague picks up the foul, and we're just 13 seconds in.
The Reddit Premium Free Throw Cam in the first half is brought to you by US Airways. Fly with us.
I don't think anyone's flying anytime soon, but certainly not on US Airways. I wouldn't recommend it.
My stepfather used to work for US Airways, although I now have a Southwest card, so that's my airline of choice.
I don't blame you there. 2 free bags. How can you beat it?
And I usually just do carry-ons. I pack light.
Ball to Baylor for the first time here on offense. A team averaging 71 points per game. They have been great so far. Beat number 16 seed Boston University in the first round. Got by Indiana in the second, then Wisconsin in the Sweet 16 on their tour of the Big Ten. And it's an early 3-0 lead here for Seton Hall.
Also, Baylor's first time playing a team that doesn't wear red.
Interesting, not even something I thought of there. Freddie Gillespie, the Big 12 most improved player on the board. He's coming off of a double-double, 2 straight, in fact. 14 points and 12 rebounds, along with 6 assists in that win over number 4 Wisconsin in the Sweet 16.
So right there, you saw Sandro Mamukilashvili coming in with a big jam. It's going to be important that he has a big game and stays on the court. Seton Hall, without Romaro Gill, broke a bone in his foot in the second round. They've been without him ever since.
You got Sandro's last name right on the first effort, Mike, and I think that deserves some applause. Definitely some commendations.
Georgian names aren't that hard.
Like Bashanishvili for Illinois, who we also saw earlier in the tournament. And there is Maceo Teague's first bucket. He has been phenomenal, averaging 22 points in the tournament, put up a season-high 28 in the win over Indiana. Get out of my house, says Freddie Gillespie. And Baylor's back on the run. Great feet ahead, Teague, and he finishes.
Something we haven't seen a lot of this tournament is good finishes in transition, as teams have been able to get back defensively. But this is why Baylor's the 1 seed. Maceo Teague goes coast to coast, right underneath for the layup. Pretty basketball.
2 teams that had incredible seasons. Baylor, the best of the Big 12. Seton Hall sharing a Big East title with Creighton and Villanova. It was the first time they'd done that since 1993. Off the mark on that effort from the top of the key. Never gave up first place the entire year. The Pirates, under Kevin Willard in his 10th season, had one of the seasons to remember, no doubt about it, up in northern New Jersey. Refeed back to the point guard Davion Mitchell, the redshirt sophomore out of Hinesville, Georgia, and Auburn transfer, coming in playing his first year in Waco. Around it goes, 3-pointer up, too much. There's the offensive rebound by Gillespie, and he'll put it right back. Freddie Gillespie has just been a monster this entire tournament, averaging 12 boards a game.
I mean, I'll tell you, win or lose here, I mean, he may qualify for all tournament team consideration, even if they don't get to the Final Four with a win today. He's been that good.
There's Butler picking up the foul, the first on the sophomore out of reserve Louisiana, third-team All-American. We have yet to see Myles Powell so far in this game. He has not made his impact, though you know that that's going to happen. Powell averaging 21 points per game this season, the consensus first-team All-American. Little short there on the triple as Mamukilashvili puts it back up and in as Vital picks up the contact.
For more than half a century, Hobby's Deli has been the place to go for a quick bite in Newark. A block from the Prudential Center, stop in for a bowl of matzo ball soup and chase it with one of many fresh sandwiches and grab a hamantaschen before heading across the way to see the Pirates. Hobby's, established before you were born.
Now, those are the ads that I can get behind.
I think anyone can get behind a good deli.
Some nice matzo
Jersey
ball
and
soup.
Connecticut, the two best deli states.
Yeah, maybe some Jersey and Connecticut. What about New York?
I mean, New York's on its own different level. I mean, I feel like it has its own category.
I see, okay. Teague again. This time he hits from beyond the arc and up to 7 early.
You know, we've been talking a lot about Gillespie, how quickly we forget Maceo Teague and how much he can change a game with his shot-making ability from deep.
Teague has been the biggest reason of any, you would say, so far for Scott Drew's Baylor Bears, the number 1 seed to get to this point. Just one of 2 left. Gonzaga will play later tonight, and Baylor has a chance to punch a Final Four ticket. It would be their 3rd in history. They got there in 1948 and 1950, but as you know, Mike, under very different circumstances.
Yeah, we were talking in the pre-production meeting. Those 2 tournaments only had 8 teams each.
So you're saying the competition level just a little bit different.
So it's a bit of a deeper field in 2020 than it was 70 years ago.
This is going to be a tough opponent, though, for Baylor. They will have to earn it if they do get there, as Freddie Gillespie, after a couple of hesitations, puts it up and through.
I'll say this, 15-30 to go now in the first half. Only 2 players have scored for Baylor. Yes, they're both fantastic, but they need more scoring options to present themselves.
The only team to ever have 5 players named All Big 12, and then, Mike, you add in the fact that they got the Coach of the Year in Scott Drew and the Most Improved Player in Gillespie, plus the 6th man, Devontae Bandu. This was Baylor's season. No doubt about it, absolutely dominating the Big 12.
Interesting here as Gillespie now sits. Tristan Clark in for the Bears.
Clark was good in the win over Wisconsin. 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 17 minutes of work. Perfect 3 of 3 from the field, and a 3-point lead right now for the number 1 seed Bears. Teague, couple of fakes. Right to the baseline, now back to his left, gets it back out to Mitchell, and looking for some help. Right back in the hands of Teague. Free throw line for Vital, and now the long jumper, good off the glass. Mitchell puts it in.
One thing I've been noticing thus far, I've been looking out into this arena here in Charlotte, a vast sea of blue, not seeing much green and gold out there.
Number 23.
Maybe a little bit of a surprise, but a lot of fans out in New Jersey making the trip. Miles Kill already with 2 assists, and Mamukilashvili, 9 points, leading the way for the Pirates. Seton Hall made its first Sweet 16 since 2000 in this tournament. Their 3rd Elite 8 in program history now, first since 1991. Looking to get to their 2nd Final Four. Their first was in 1989. They lost the national championship to Michigan. I'm sure Pirates fans everywhere Pretty thrilled that they got reminded of that one as McKnight picks up the foul right there on Baylor's Vital.
Shooting.
It is a festival of felines. Taylor Swift, Idris Elba, and Judi Dench star in the first major motion picture adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's historic play based on T.S. Eliot's poems. It's Impractical Jokers, only on True TV.
Can't wait to see how that all works out.
You know, I bet you it's a good movie, but I bet you the computer graphics aren't good.
Vital. Good with both of those. The lead opened up to 5 now for Baylor. 6 minutes into this Elite 8 matchup in Charlotte. Wide open, figured why not fire it right there, and Clark rips it down after the miss by McKnight.
Has Miles Powell scored the ball thus far? I don't think he has.
I think he has 2 free throws, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, that has to change for these Pirates. It has to change.
Here's Tristan Clark. Vital had the open shot, passed it up, and now right back to Vital for 3. Short. There is Powell. 15th in the country with those 21 points per game. Back to him from NBA range. He is a senior. So you know that professional basketball awaits him whenever the run is over for Seton Hall as McKnight pours it in.
And also give Powell a dime right there. What a feed across the court on a rope. Quincy McKnight gets us back to a 1-score game.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Powell because he probably is going to get drafted as he puts that one in on the triple, but it's not a lock, which is kind of maybe surprising with a guy that averaged 21 points per game in college. But there are those guys that are great college players, but maybe it doesn't necessarily translate to the next level.
Yeah, it's strange. Well, they're both called basketball. There are so many small differences in both levels of the game that can make one person a star at one level and not a star at the other.
Transition puts Jared Butler now at the free throw line. .77.5% from the stripe. Has reached double figures in 8 of his last 10 games. The win over Wisconsin in the Sweet 16 was not one of them, however. 6.6 assists and 4 rebounds, though he filled it up the other way. And we are going to have a big man now coming in for the first time for Baylor, Flo Thamba, the sophomore out of the Democratic Republic of Congo, standing in at 6'10".
And also for Seton Hall, Ike Obiagu, 7'2", out of Abuja, Nigeria. So, a lot of size just stepped on the court.
You see Obiagu right there, number 21. Sophomore started his career at Florida State, an unbelievable rim protector, averaging 2 blocks per game at Florida State and over 1 per game this season. Vital has all his points so far from the free throw line, a Naismith Defensive Player of the Year finalist. But maybe more importantly right now for Baylor is that second effort up and good. First bucket of the game for Tristan Clark. But, Mike, he's averaging, talking about Mark Vital, 20 points per game in the NCAA tournament. That's 14 over his season average.
Hey, it's not a bad time to be good, right?
No, probably the best, actually. McKnight for 3.
Huge bucket gets this back down to 6. Because again, Baylor doing that thing where it's very quietly, you're down 9 points and you're kind of in a hole. That 3 is so big to keep the Pirates within eyesight.
So McKnight up to 7 and Miles Powell still, I believe, just sitting at 2. But we saw TJ Hawes for BYU just before this, as Mitchell puts in his first triple of the game. We saw him go scoreless in the first half and then absolutely erupt to help lead BYU past Kentucky. What a look down low. Beautiful high low to Obiagu for 2.
Again, that help side defense doesn't slide down, and you want to leave Miles Powell open for a free dime. He'll take that every time.
This is one of the reasons that Seton Hall has been so dangerous this year. Only losing 5 games in Big East play, 9 overall, and making a run to the Elite Eight. They have the depth, and they certainly have the players on the front lines to get it done with guys like Mamukilashvili and Ike Obiagu. Although I will say, it doesn't help to lose Romaro Gill. He is a huge part of what this team does. Also, 7'2", a huge rim protector for this team.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want, especially a senior, too, who's been in the program for 4 years. But at this point, you go with what you got. You're in the Final 8, so you got to be pretty dang good anyway. And let's see how
again, if you're just joining us, it's picked off there by McKnight. Sorry to cut you off, Mike. If you're just joining us, it was a broken toe in the second round win over Texas Tech for Romaro Gill, the reason that you will not see him in this game or for the rest of the tournament. Turnaround jumper. Way too much. There's Obiagu going up. Can't get the follow.
You look at that, Mark Vidal giving up almost a full foot in height, able to just harass Obiagu enough to affect his shot and force that one short. I mean, what a tournament the junior from Lake Charles is having.
Vidal was dealing with knee tendonitis as well at the end of the regular season, but good to see he's 100% now when Baylor needs him the most. Just 4 seconds to shoot now for Mitchell. Not this time. Ripped down by Jaron Rhoden. He's been great so far, the sophomore out of Baldwin, New York, who started 12 games in Big East play and shot 43% from 3 in conference action. He was a real nice find for Kevin Willard. Top of the key. 3 ball goes down. McKnight already into double digits.
McKnight having a great game. I'll tell you one person who's not having a great game is the Baylor mascot. I think I've seen him fall flat on his back 3 times on the far baseline. Someone needs to go check on him.
Are we keeping track of this, or are you got it or me?
I mean, I teleported here from our last game at Houston. I don't know how you got here, but I missed that meeting.
Well, I think we came together, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did teleport together. So then we both missed the meeting. I don't know. I'm not privy to the facilities meetings here in Charlotte.
Powell in and out. 4-point lead for Baylor with the ball. 8:45 to go before the break here in Charlotte. Vidal. Long 2 from the corner.
What more can you do? You got a hand in right in his face, and he just shoots it right over you.
Still Miles Powell looking for his first field goal. Hammering the ball. Almost 2,300 career points, which is 3rd all-time for the Hall. And throws it right into the hands of Vidal. Now here's Jared Butler. Sophomore gives it up to the redshirt sophomore, Mitchell. 12 to shoot as he dribbles around trying to find a home for this basketball. Another long jumper. And Scott Drew has to be pulling out what little hair he has left at this point because these long 2s just have no chance of going in.
And it's allowing Seton Hall to stay right with it. Baylor seemed poised about 4 minutes ago to open this game up with the double figures, and they haven't been able to.
Fancy dribbling from Powell. Ends up now in the hands of McKnight. Dribbles back behind the free throw line and gives it back up to Powell with 10 to shoot. Obiagu, around it goes. McKnight, quick trigger.
Bit of an odd camera angle right there from the truck, but regardless, Quincy McKnight he now has a dozen, almost half of Seton Hall's points.
At his season average of 12 per game, coming off of a 14-point performance and a great look down low to Clark.
Davion Mitchell, 4 assists. Again, I mean, every player that steps on the court for this Baylor team, we say their name. They all contribute in some way.
Obiagu, yes, and a foul.
Personal foul. Penalty situation. Substitution on the court.
This Sunday on 60 Minutes, a trip through the great state of Maine 200 years after it became the 23rd state in the Union.
I feel like that will be a nice all-encompassing look.
I do love the great state of Maine, one of my favorite places.
From Bar Harbor up to Mount Katahdin. I mean, you got a lot of area to cover there. I've been on 2 canoe trips in Maine.
I've done it all.
Fantastic.
From Agunquit to Fort Kent, I've been there. I love it.
Here's Teague. Usually that's a shot that goes down for him. Thamba can't put it back. And too easy back the other way for Roden.
Shavar Reynolds getting his first assist, his first contribution.
Reynolds played just 9 minutes in the win over North Dakota State. And I think college basketball fans around the country were a little bit disappointed to see the number 15 seed bow out in the Sweet 16. Just Tyson Ward couldn't quite do enough to get the Bison to the Elite Eight.
No, but an absolutely historic run. It's North Dakota State and Dunk City forever. You know, right, the first 15 seeds to make it to the Sweet 16.
Powell gave it up after the pump fake. Now it goes back around to the top of the key, and that, off the side rim, Clark takes it back down after the Seton Hall miss. Matthew Meyer with the ball now, the sophomore out of Austin. Clark, couple pump fakes, draws Obiagu in the air, and earns the foul on Mamukilishvili.
Shooting 2.
Let's see, Sandro. You see, the moment he came back down, he knew he got beat. So now it's 2 shots, a chance to go up 5 for the Bears.
Tristan Clark, who went down with a knee injury last January, was their number 2 scorer at the time, and unfortunately for the junior, Mike, just has never been the same since. And everyone thought he was going to have a huge year, was a member of the preseason All-Big 12 team before the year started, but it just absolutely never developed for him, and he's been battling that knee issue throughout the end of his career now. Baylor ball up 4. 5 minutes to go before the intermission here in this Elite Eight game. And a soft foul called right there on Miles Cale.
Substitution on the court.
And now Cale sits and Powell returns.
You gotta think Kevin Willard's pretty excited to only be down 4, and his best player has 2 points. Tristan Clark starting to assert himself down in the post.
Yeah, you know, to your point, Miles Powell hasn't gotten into it offensively. That was the same case against the Bison. He wasn't able to really get into it until the second half. But here they are, still in the thick of it with a 1 seed.
Obiagu with the feed to Shavar Reynolds out of Manchester, New Jersey with his first basket. And right back to the Pirates it goes. Chance to make it a 1-possession game in the hands of Powell. Got to look out for Sandro as well beyond the arc. He shoots 43% from there, but hasn't tried a triple yet. Sits off of the rim for Roden on the 3. Butler with Powell in his grill, dribbles free throw line, looking for some help. Instead, it's Meyer now on the wing. Off left rim, right back to Baylor it goes after Meyer collects his own miss. Teague has been quiet recently. Do they get it back to him? Instead, it's Clark, who's now up to 9.
Again, Baylor consistently able to get those 4 points when they need. Goes from 2 to 6, 5 to 9. And oh God, what a steal there by Mayer. Right place, right time.
And here's Teague. Baylor fans can start to sense it might be a turning point early on in this game. Butler, couple pump fakes. Right hand layup, good.
Look at that, just getting it through before, I think that was Obiagu, swats it.
Yeah, and
Times
that is
everything, and now an 8-point lead.
Yeah, not easy to do, Mike, either, with a guy that's 7'2", 265.
Substitution in the court.
Yeah, he usually doesn't miss. People that big usually don't miss in basketball.
Tristan Clark has been playing so well for Baylor that he has continued to be out there for the most part here in this first half, and we have not seen that much of Freddie Gillespie, who scored 6 early points. He's been on the bench for most of the first. Beautiful roll and find to Torian Thompson. His first bucket. Thompson, the junior out of New York City who transferred in from Syracuse, and any fan of the Orange knows it just didn't work out for him up in central New York.
And he finds a home down in Newark in the shadow of his hometown. As again, now another reach in. This time called on Mamu. Now Mamu has 2, so he'll probably sit the rest of the half. At least I would think so.
Baylor ball, the lead is 6. 2.5 to go before the break. This is for a trip to San Antonio and the Final Four. And that will help Baylor's cause. Teague now does a dozen. How do you get Miles Powell more involved?
I would move off the ball, try and get him some switches, try and get him in favorable positions within the offense. But until then, he's just going to feed his teammates.
That corner 3 wouldn't go. Thompson, yes, and a foul.
I think that's going to go on Mayer. That's his first. This would cut it to 5 with 1:53 to go in the first half.
Thompson having to play some major minutes with Romaro Gill on the bench. He only played 1 game this year, but he has played now the last 2. 1 regular season game, I should say. 2 now here in the NCAA tournament, and has been turning it on when they need him the most.
Well, that's what coaches try and preach and build, right? Next man up.
So the short distance J for Vital. The lead is 8 once again. A little bit of danger time now for the Hall. McKnight already has a dozen. He is leading the way for the Pirates, not Miles Powell. Got it, NBA range 3. Yes, sir!
McKnight comes up, benefits from a pick by Thompson, throws in the 3. Excellent play.
Now it's Mitchell. Inside Vital, taken out by Obiagu. Gets it right back, and Vital makes him pay. How about sticking with the play there for the Bears?
Hey, as long as the ball's free, you might as well make a play at it. Mark Vital having just an excellent tournament, and it's continued here today.
That's got to go for Shavar Reynolds, and it would not. Baylor can add to a 7-point advantage and does not need to put up a shot here until the end of the first half. Mitchell has the play from Scott Drew. 15 left. Just taking it down, and now the Baylor offense starts to get into higher gear, under 10 to go. Teague in the corner. Butler sets the screen, looking to get it back. He does. Three-pointer. Not this time. Last chance. No, it sits off of the rim for Vital. And Mike, that is how the first 20 minutes comes to an end, a 7-point advantage for the number 1 seed Bears.
Take a look at the quick box here. I mean, look at the shooting percentage by both teams. Both excellent, but the rebounds, 20 to 10 in favor of the Bears. 3 guys already with 4 or more rebounds for Baylor. You keep rebounding like that, you're going to the Final Four.
So we have reached the intermission here in Charlotte. It has been Baylor's advantage so far. Can they ride it to their 3rd Final Four in program history? We'll find out in just a few minutes. Back with the second half right after this. Ready to go with 20 minutes on the clock. That's what's remaining. A trip to the Final Four on the line for the number 1 seed Baylor and 3rd seeded Seton Hall Pirates. Glad to have you with us in Charlotte. Alex Perlman, Mike Abelson. And Mike, so far it has been a very big surprise not seeing much from Myles Powell, and maybe he will have a second half to remember. Great start though for the Pirates there. McKnight to Rodin.
Goodness gracious. Quincy McKnight, he's doing everything today. That dunk, wow.
That's exactly how the blue fans of Pirates Nation wanted to see things start, but Mitchell with the answer on the other end.
And again, that's what Baylor does so well. You think you have the momentum, you think you have the crowd, they're just going to quietly come down, hit a layup, and shut you right up.
I mean, and I think we can say it right now and don't have to worry about this opinion at all. If Myles Powell doesn't end up scoring and doesn't get more involved in the offense, Baylor's going to the Final Four. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, that's... Yeah. McKnight's been great. Obiagu and Mamu have been good. But you need Powell. You need him to contribute.
Tapped away, goes right back inside, and Gillespie is going to get credit for the bucket. Goaltend right there on Mamu.
Can't blame him for trying.
Just about a minute and a half into the second, and it is already a bit of danger time right now for Seton Hall. But free throws now coming from Miles Cale, who is yet to find the scoreboard.
Shooting.
The Reddit Premium Free Throw Cam in the second half is brought to you by the all-new McDonald's McDLT. The hot stays hot, and the cool stays cool.
You gotta tell me what's in a McDLT.
It's got hot stuff and cold stuff. That's all that I know. I'm sure there's a burger, most likely. I would assume it'd be McDonald's. I'm more of a Burger King guy, though, myself. They have, in my opinion, a vastly better value menu, and I'm sure I'll get flamed for that opinion.
So you're a Whopper kind of guy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, I'm more just a dollar menu. Just, a cheeseburger and a junior chicken sandwich. I'm a simple man.
Mitchell swatted away. Cale gets it right back now, leading the break for Seton Hall. Up ahead, what a jam! Oh, goodness, Mamu!
That dunk is the father of my children.
Substitution on the court.
Those would be some strong kids.
The strongest in town.
Wow. 5-point deficit now. Vital's going to try to extend the lead for Baylor, but I'm sorry. I'm still on that alley-oop.
Shooting 2.
I'm still riding that high. Cruising in the sky. Oh, boy.
Vital off the mark, and now Reynolds is going to come in for Cale.
I mean, through all that, we just, there was a key moment here. Miles Cale picking up his 3rd foul, and a really bad foul at that. Really forcing Kevin Willard to have to mess with his lineups far earlier than he wants to.
That's a big surprise so far tonight. Miles Cale, who had 18 points. I mean, this line's insane. 18, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 steals. He had a perfect game from the field, 7 of 7, was 4 of 4 from the free throw line in 38 minutes in the win over North Dakota State. He hasn't scored yet, and now he's got those 3 fouls on the bench.
That's how the tournament goes sometimes, though, right?
That's why they call it survive in advance. I mean, you know, you have to get contributions from all different players, and you have to be deep to win a national championship, as Obiagu picks up the contact.
Shooting 2.
Since 1915, Vitex Market has been making the best barbecue in Waco. Get there early before it sells out, and make sure to get a gut pack. Fritos, cheese, and the best meats all in one.
Fritos, cheese, and meats. This is on one plate. Is this in a sandwich? What are we talking here?
That is one dish.
Whew. That is a heart attack waiting to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like if you have one of these gut packs, you'll be okay.
Like one ever, though.
Yeah. I mean, once a week. Whatever works for you.
We are not here to discriminate, as Roden puts it in with the left.
It's a great little finish on the inside. And yes, to your point, I do not discriminate against barbecue.
Well, we know the state of Texas has some good ones.
State of Texas, Texas, Kansas City, Memphis. I'm sure everyone will complain about where the best barbecue is. My personal favorite is at Salvage up in Portland, Maine.
That is an interesting choice.
It's a great spot right across from the Expo.
My favorite is probably Central Barbecue in Memphis. Ugh, incredible ribs.
I'm sure that's going to blow Maine out of the water, but hey, good barbecue is good barbecue wherever you go.
Shavar Reynolds' second bucket. The deficit is 4 now for Seton Hall, who still has not gotten a field goal from Miles Powell. Obiagu, right on Vital. Vital gets it back and scores anyway.
Again, it goes back to the point where Seton Hall, they get a small run going, and just like that, Obiagu misses a block, Vital puts it back in. Now it's back to 6, and it's got to, at some point, it's going to get too demoralizing for the Seton Hall team. They have to find a way to get the stops.
They have so far pretty much been able to score with Baylor, but you're right, defensively it has not happened. Powell missed again. And I am not sure the NBA scouts in attendance here in Charlotte are going to love what they're seeing, and Powell's not really helping out his cause at all. So after some nifty passing here to the referee, we're back and ready to go. Go ahead, Mike. Great look inside to Mitchell, and there's Powell getting involved on the defensive end. That might be big for the Pirates right there, Mike. Get him involved any way possible. Maybe defense leads to some offense. It certainly led to some right there with Shavar Reynolds dialing it up.
Yeah, a block on one end, a dime on the other. Miles Powell leaving his mark on the game, as great players do. Shots not going, you can have an assist. You can have a block. You can do it all defensively. That's a sign of an excellent player.
Powell with just 2 points, and the lead for Baylor only 3. This has been remarkable. Powell swatted away. Butler got his right hand in there. Through Clark's hands, he picks it up. And off of the window, not this time for Baylor. Powell. And McKnight resets the offense now for the Pirates. Great look inside to Sandro.
Just a 1-point game now. Baylor, this is the closest it's been in a while.
And a chance to take the lead. And they could do that at the free throw line. It will be Shavar Reynolds. Teague picks up the foul, his second.
God, just look at that sea of blue on the baseline.
We got some Baylor fans sprinkled in on the sideline, but you're right, this has been a very pro-Seton Hall crowd here in Charlotte, making the trip down from Jersey. Just 1 of 2 for Reynolds, and we are tied at 55. Teague has a dozen. Into the corner, passed up the wide open 3. Now Mitchell, short corner, and the jumper doesn't fall for Gillespie. Powell wanted a screen, instead gets it back out to the point guard, McKnight. Roden now. Mamu back to the top of the key. 3 in the air. Not enough from the right wing.
He looks good out of the hand, just a little short.
Seton Hall not an incredible three-point shooting team by any means. Just 33% as a club so far this season. They were 6 of 19 in the win over North Dakota State last time out. And Mamu picks up his 3rd there.
Gillespie now up to a dozen, and Mamu has to go sit for Obiagu. Freddie Gillespie, I mean, he makes you look bad.
He makes a lot of different players look bad, though. Guy that was a former walk-on. A transfer from Division III Carleton College. I can't imagine how good they were that year, because he has absolutely dominated this season for Baylor, especially on the boards, averaging 9 per game to lead the way. Calling for some defense now for Baylor. Instead, it's Seton Hall firing away. Gillespie collects the Powell miss, who's still yet to put in a field goal, and Baylor can add to a 2-point edge. Teague draws his man in the air. And the high finish off the window.
State Farm driving the game right here. Mitchell waits, kicks it. Look at that. That just a little up with his shoulders. Gets rotated in the air. And a shot fake that good, reminiscent of old Pittsburgh great Sam Young.
Old Pittsburgh great. That doesn't make me feel so good.
We're getting up there, Alex. It's kind of how things go.
Sam Young, DeJuan Blair,
Levance
Fields, absolutely. Read my mind. Pocket almost picked from Roden. Now back out top to McKnight to set things up. He'll take it himself. Seton Hall fans feeling it. They want to fire it up. But that look inside is not going to help. McKnight getting a little too fancy and lackadaisical, and back to Baylor it goes.
I was just thinking, we haven't heard a fire it up chant all game. I didn't know what was going on. I missed it.
Well, we finally got it back. Teague. Not this time. It is into the hands of the 7-2 Obiagu. And now on the run, Seton Hall, and a hard foul. That time by Mitchell on McKnight.
God, I mean, that was a body check. I know Seton Hall doesn't have football, but that was a football tackle right there. You saw some shoves getting thrown, but cooler heads prevailing as McKnight can't hit the first one, but he can tie it coming out right here.
McKnight is known to be an extremely tough player, maybe one of the most physical in the entire Big East. He gets some nicks, some bumps and bruises, but usually plays right through it. He started 30 games this year coming into the tournament, and McKnight now has Seton Hall tied with one of the 2 seeds left, Baylor.
When it comes to 1 seeds, Gonzaga, the other one, they play tonight. I mean, Gonzaga's been running over everyone. I mean, their win over Oregon in the Sweet 16 bordered on a felony.
How about Dayton and Kansas going down? That was certainly unexpected, especially to see Obi Toppin out so early on in this tournament. There's a tip from Clark. Sometimes that's just what happens in March and April. Teams you don't expect to lose bow out early. And we've seen it time and time again. Teams that have had absolutely remarkable seasons, for whatever reason, have one off game, and that's enough.
Hey, that's what makes this tournament such an American institution. Part of the great sports glue that holds this country together.
No question about that. And we're glad to bring it to you here in the Reddit Virtual Tournament. 11 minutes to go in the second. Seton Hall cannot convert back on the offensive end, and Baylor has a chance to add to its 2-point edge. Clark thinks about it. Great shovel inside to an open Thamba.
Interesting, Roden just kind of standing around there. You know, kind of like you're in a supermarket line, don't know what candy bar to get, just kind of aimlessly walking around. Grab the Snickers, damn it.
Well, we know for you it's definitely not going to be a Milky Way.
Not for me.
Vital after the takeaway. So he draws the contact on Reynolds, was looking to throw down a monster jam. Instead, it's going to be 2 more free throws. Vital has been at the free throw line a lot so far in this game. Only a 42% shooter from the stripe.
But he's been doing so well in the rest of the tournament. Rolls that one in. You said Monster Jam. That's something I haven't heard about in a while. Monster Jam. Sunday. Someday
we will get a Monster Jam once again.
Well, we'll all see Gravedigger go destroy those cars.
That's the only one I could ever name for you, too.
Yeah, Gravedigger. Well, there was also Bigfoot many years ago, but Gravedigger's the classic.
The lead is all of a sudden 6 now for Baylor. Midway through the second, Obiagu swatted away. Thamba got the block, but instead, no, they're going to call a foul on him. And that is some big man on big man crime. 6'10" on 7'2".
Now that's meat slapping meat right there. Looked like, though, he got a little too much wrist, not enough of the basketball. But again, you know, I know I've harped on it a bit, but this game was tied at 59, and then Baylor scores 6 straight. You know, and that was with Gillespie and Teague off the bench. They come back on now, and it's so interesting watching these B-side and, you know, bench player lineups for Baylor so consistently able to produce. Scott Drew is a coaching wizard.
This team is absolutely transformed since he got to Waco. Naismith Coach of the Year finalist this year, 29-4 on the season. 3rd most wins in program history. And Baylor's all-time wins leader, no surprise, Scott Drew, 17th season now with Baylor.
Yeah, his 3rd Elite Eight. And again, the other 2 Elite Eights were, you know, 1948 and 1950. So more or less, when it comes to modern basketball history, he is Baylor basketball.
Teague after the pump fake. Obiagu picks up the foul. Teague to the free throw line where he shoots 85%, one of the best on the Bears.
How good is Maceo Teague? You know, I mean, we talk about McKnight and Powell, but I mean, Teague, what an amazing guard. UNC Asheville transfer, Cincinnati, Ohio native. He's just so smooth in everything he does.
Remember the All Big 12 second team this season? Sorry, Mike. It is kind of surprising that he didn't start his career at a bigger school, but he did eventually end up at one. And I think fans in Waco are going to be pretty happy that he is going to be back for another season, or at least has the potential to return.
Hey, I'm sure they'd keep him forever if they could.
I think a lot of schools would do that with plenty of players, but unfortunately, just not how it works. I think Seton Hall would keep Powell as well. Free throws coming up for Obiagu after Gillespie picks up his third, and that is now something to watch for the Baylor big man.
I'm sure they would keep Powell and McKnight forever and ever if they could.
Yeah, Seton Hall will lose its backcourt for the most part. Kale's a junior, Roden a sophomore, Mamu only a junior. For Baylor, everyone is back except for Freddie Gillespie and Devontae Bandu, who we haven't seen, who is the Big 12 Sixth Man of the Year. There's no reason to think Baylor can't be just as good next season.
It really is amazing what Scott Drew has done in Waco.
5-point edge now for Baylor with the basketball. What a feed inside! Mitchell to Gillespie.
You notice there, Thompson not looking to his left, didn't see Gillespie sneak in backdoor. A little Princeton basketball right there.
Baylor can hurt you in so many different ways. Here's Powell. Once again off the mark. Thompson. Free throws coming.
Tell you the big story there. That's the fourth on Gillespie.
And so with 8:49 to go, he's almost definitely going to the bench. Is it Flo Thamba coming in for the Bears?
Substitution on the court.
And no, instead it's Clark.
It must be nice to have a guy like Tristan Clark coming in relief.
He has been sensational in this tournament. Into double figures for the second straight game. What a weapon off of the bench. Both free throws roll through for Thompson, and the lead once again 5. Breaking this Seton Hall full court pressure with ease, Butler and the Bears. Back in the hands of Mitchell, the point guard. Almost 4 assists per game this season. Teague sits off the front rim. And Mitchell in the trees puts it back.
9 points for Davion Mitchell on 40% shooting. We don't say his name often, but when we do, it's always something big.
He gets such quiet production as well. He scored 10 in that win over the 4th seed Wisconsin in the Sweet 16. Here's Powell once again, and finally has his first bucket of the game.
Miles Powell, wing 3. Where have we seen that before this season?
That's his sweet spot, and finally, Powell's on the board, and as you like to say, Mike, we still have miles and miles before we sleep.
And I think Powell has taken the road less traveled by in this game.
4-point lead still for Baylor, though, with 7:45 left. T had it sent out of bounds by Thompson. It's going to stay with Baylor, 12 on the shot clock.
Substitution on
and
the court.
Huge substitutions now coming in for Kevin Willard. He's changing everything.
I think Thompson, the only guy staying out there.
Go figure, Powell hits his first bucket and immediately gets taken out for a breather. Teague, couple pump fakes to a wide open Bear, and that one good for Butler. Bears fans now want to fire it up. Nelson open in the corner. Instead, the lefty hook missed.
That's a really bad shot. No reason to be taking that early in the shot clock.
And especially at this point in the game with Baylor trying to add to a 6-point edge and only 7 minutes remaining in regulation with a shot at the final 4 on the line. Tapped away, Mitchell picks it back, so no harm, no foul right there for Baylor. Can get the offense going himself. Clark swatted away. Thompson got his right hand on it. Up ahead it goes. Nelson through his hands. Second effort, yes, for Roden.
That's why you always trail the play. something can happen. The play may not be designed for you, but Roden, right place, right time, 8 points, 4-point game.
Deficit now for Seton Hall could grow to a one-possession game right here with Mamu spinning inside and Roden with the left.
Hey man, 13 may not be scoring, but 14 certainly is for Baylor. Roden has 10.
2-point game. Tapped away, T gets it right back, draws his man on the air, and what just happened? He threw it off the back of the backboard.
Substitution on the court.
Now he's going to sit as we see Bandu for the first time today.
Yeah,
But
you surprised T got pulled by that on that one right there?
Yeah, maybe he'll sit until the under 4, just clear his mind.
Roden has scored, I believe, the last 3 baskets now for Seton Hall.
God, what a feed. What a feed by Kale.
Roden's up to 12, and we are knotted at 73. Well, we did mention in this one, Mike, that this is the first test of this tournament for Seton Hall. You could very well argue the first single-digit seed they'll see. Already beat 14th seed Belmont, 11th seeded Texas Tech, and then just got by the 15th seed North Dakota State, who's trying to make a Florida Gulf Coast Dunk City-like run. Well, Seton Hall is up to the challenge here against the number 1 seed Baylor.
And also, one thing to remember within those double-digit seeds, you do have last year's national runner-up in there in the Raiders.
Bandu. Thamba, check that right there for Baylor to give the Bears the lead once again. That is true. Not quite the same Texas Tech team, but still David Moretti on the court. I mean, there are a lot of weapons. No doubt about it that Chris Beard still has in Lubbock. And it was a great win for the Pirates.
Excellent ballgame.
Down to 10 to shoot. Miles Powell not even on the floor. McKnight some fancy dribbling, dibbles it inside, and there is McKnight, check that, on the layup after the assist from Nelson.
21 points for Quincy McKnight, the Nutmeg State native, saving his best for potentially his last game.
McKnight, the Sacred Heart transfer. Making his mark on the Big East and beyond. Nice drive inside. And Mamu picks up the foul, his 4th. Another big story here. Gillespie has 4 for Baylor, and now Sandro has 4 for Seton Hall.
It'll be interesting to see if Willard subs him out. I think you sit him for at least a couple of minutes right here. Maybe you bring Miles Powell back into the game. Go small.
Substitution.
They'll go with Obiagu. They'll go even bigger. This is why I'm not coaching. This is why I'm sitting here.
Well, it doesn't mean that it's the right choice.
Well, I mean, it's still it is nice though to have another shot blocker like Obiagu to come in off the bench.
Yeah, he has been playing just huge minutes, but Clark puts back in the miss and Baylor back ahead.
Yeah, 13 points for Tristan in relief. What a ball game. What a player. Big man stepping up in big games.
2-point deficit now for Seton Hall. High rebound to Obiagu, and that's why Willard put him right back in. Tough layup, no. And vital as his 6th board for Baylor. And now you just have to kind of wonder how long can Kevin Willard keep Miles Powell on the bench. I know he hasn't been good in this game by any means, but he's your best player. Clark lost it. Who's it off of? Seton Hall basketball trailing by 2. And 4:03 remaining. Here comes Powell for the Pirates.
And also Mamu comes back in as well. I thought they would keep him out for another minute or 2 of game time. But Kevin Willard, chips are on the table. He's going all in.
And you have to hope that your 6'11 big man out of the country of Georgia can stay off of one more foul. But right now, Seton Hall's got to play D. Gillespie, quadruple team to Teague. No! Gillespie one more time to Teague. This too. Not this time either. Gillespie will do it himself.
God, what a play by Gillespie. Doing every single thing. The big man with a big plan shining bright here in the Elite Eight.
And absolutely bailing out Teague, who missed 2 shots you could not be more wide open on. McKnight, crazy layup, not this time, and Gillespie's got his 8th board. Lead is 4 now for Baylor, and this is where the Bears have been so good this tournament, closing out the game. Gillespie shovels, great feed to Vital, who passes up the open J. Butler back to Mitchell, fakes himself. Now just 10 to shoot. Is Gillespie going to do it himself? Working on the smaller Powell. Kick it to Vital in the corner. Now just 4 to shoot. And it's out of bounds off of Seton Hall. Still Baylor ball, but Mike, just 2 left on the shot clock.
Yeah, great defensive play by Kale to slap that away. Timeout called by the Bears. You gotta draw up something quick.
Vital inbounds. Quick jumper, no. And it's ripped down by Kale. Seton Hall ball. McKnight behind the back to Powell. Oh, so pretty.
That is one of the most reckless plays I have ever seen in a game of this stature, and it turns into one of the great highlights of all time.
Takes some cojones to make that kind of pass in this basketball game with so much on the line. And it worked out, though, for Seton Hall. A 1-point deficit, 2:21 to go.
Quincy McKnight with blocks of granite. That's what he has.
.2:15 left. Is it Baylor or Seton Hall going to the Final Four? It would be the Bears' 3rd trip ever. And for Seton Hall, they haven't been there since 1989, that is. That was the only time in program history. Good defense with the shot clock running down to 5. Powell's right there in Vital's face. Now it is Mitchell. No! Seton Hall can take the lead. Kale behind the back. Lost it, got it back. Roden wants it. Instead, he's going to set the screen and get it over into the left wing. And that's up and good for McKnight. The lead to Seton Hall.
Listen to those fans in blue. They're loud, they're raucous, they're having a great time. This, Alex, this is beauty, this is art, this is college basketball.
Yeah, this is no doubt about it what it is all about. 1:20 remaining in the hands of T. He can light it up from beyond the arc, gets it right back from Vital, and buries the 3!
From the NBA line, Maceo Teague, not ready to go home.
Kevin Willard wants to talk things over now with the Pirates down a deuce. Can you get Powell going once again? This is McKnight off of the miss. Put back Miles Kale, tied up once more.
A 60-second basketball game. That's what we have. This is what everyone dreams of.
Throw out the first 39, 82 apiece. And Mamu's got the steal for Seton Hall. Chance to take the lead once again. Powell. Right back to Sandro. Foot fake at the free throw line. Shovels it inside, and there's Powell for 2.
When the time calls, the biggest players step up. He's had an awful game offensively, but you know what? If that's the bucket that wins this game, no one will remember any of the first 39 minutes for Miles Powell.
Powell with 2 huge threes late, and they're the bucket to give Seton Hall the 2-point advantage. 2-second game clock to shot clock difference now. 30 ticks remaining in this Elite Eight matchup, and Kale reaches in. Ninth on the team means a 1-and-1 coming up for Mitchell, who can potentially
Miles,
knot us up at 84.
Oh, what are you doing, Miles?
And the front end of the 1-and-1 goes. Mitchell is a 66% free throw shooter. And we're tied. Not a soul in his or her seat in Charlotte. Evened up. Shot clock turned off. Seton Hall can hold for the final one if it wants to. And at worst, it would mean overtime for a chance at the Final Four to join BYU.
I'm trying to play up here for McKnight. He's been so good all over the court. I want the ball in his hands.
It's for Cale right now. 5 to shoot. Cale over to Powell at the end of the ball game. It is no good. Overtime after it hit every part of the rim here in Charlotte.
Buckle up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. We have 5 more minutes of basketball, as Miles Powell could have hit the biggest shot in Seton Hall history. But instead, we start fresh, and we're playing a little mini game here. 5 minutes on the clock. Oh boy.
Obiagu wins the tap. And back underway here in Charlotte. Alex Perlman, Mike Abelson with you in what has been one of the most thrilling versions of any game so far in this tournament. And Thompson has Seton Hall out on top to start us off in OT.
The first overtime game of the 2020 tournament.
Vermont won it on a last-second shot. I thought for sure Miles Powell had put Seton Hall in the Final Four all on his own. Teague. Too much. Offensive rebound vital, but it's stripped.
Defensive foul. That's his third personal foul. First team foul.
So Powell pushing the action. Butler picking up his third. And free throws for a guy that shoots almost 80% from the line.
Substitution on the court.
So you see Mamu and Gillespie both checking back in. You know, I would expect a lot of offense-defense here from both coaches, trying to get both of those players to the finish line.
Last ride for Miles Powell at Seton Hall, and he buries both free throws. He did not score until late in the game for the first time, and Mike, he's now into double figures. Defense forces another turnover, and Seton Hall's got it up 4. Baylor has been very careless. Mamu, double team comes. Give it to Obiagu for a quick J, and not exactly the shot Kevin Willard was looking for. Baylor just cannot get out of its own way, though, and Mamu puts the Pirates up a half dozen.
And everything that Baylor has done right this tournament, it's all coming apart for them. Another one.
3 straight giveaways by the number 1 seed Bears. If you told me that would happen to start off overtime, no way I would have believed you. You could have bet me anything.
No, I
Here's
agree.
Powell. Back to McKnight. Trying to add to a 6-point edge. Minute 40 into overtime. Open Powell for 2. Too much. Sandro. No on the putback, and Vital's got his 8th rebound of the game.
God, Baylor needs a bucket here in the worst way.
Can they find T? Cutting now underneath the bucket into his traditional spot in the corner where he's been so good. Butler to the wing to set up the offense now for the Bears. 3 ball on the way. Too short. Offensive rebound for Butler. And back out it goes to Teague. He'll fire away. Give him 3.
Now, when this team has needed big threes, Good Lord, is he good. 40% from beyond the arc. 8 assists for Mitchell. Timeout, Pirates.
I'm not sure if you can even have anybody else shooting a three right now if you're Baylor, with the way that he has been all NCAA tournament long.
I know that the Pirates have been playing man-to-man defense, but maybe run a box and one at this point in the game.
McKnight, Powell, once again off the mark, just not his night. Transition now for Mitchell. Wild shot, altered by Seton Hall, and a chance to add to a three-point edge. Even with Powell having perhaps his worst game of the season, Seton Hall has taken Baylor to overtime. Just a remarkable team effort. And a reach in that time on Vital.
Yeah, it looks like he got the wrist as Thompson was going up.
Shooting 1-1.
So it will be interesting to see what they call this, whether it was on the floor or shooting.
First one buried by the Syracuse transfer and the New York City native Thompson. 1:53 to go in the extra period. And Seton Hall still by 4 after the 1-for-2 trip for Thompson. Mitchell wants some movement. Now onto the wing, Butler. Out to a wide open Teague. What do you think?
25 points. Well, where is Roden? Look how far away Roden is from him. You can't cheat off him like that.
Teague, who is averaging 22 points in this tournament, already above that average with 25 in this game. And the deficit now for the 1 seed Bears, just 1. A look off by Mamu. He's got position, and it results in 2. 17 for the junior.
Substitution in the court.
God, these guys got to be gassed right now.
Especially for Baylor, who, I mean, some of those guys have been on there basically the entire game, like Mitchell, Butler, and Teague have not seen much of the bench yet in this game. Butler, excellent feed, Gillespie, and it sits off. Mama with the defensive board, chance to add to a 3-point advantage. Under a minute to play here in the Elite Eight. And it spins through. Roden with the find. Powell with the bucket, and a dozen now. Picked off by the Pirates, and Teague has to foul.
Well, you see Roden celebrated right there. I mean, if he hits both of these shots right here, it's a 3-score game. And I mean, they're gonna start turning up the party meter in Newark.
Mike, maybe just a little bit too early to foul in your mind?
I mean, it rolls in. I mean, I think you want to extend the game as much as you can, especially with that being the last 1-and-1 foul for the Bears. But man, if Roden makes this, Baylor is up against him.
Well, we saw BYU upset Kentucky. Obiagu with an offensive rebound. Now he'll go to the free throw line, though he is just a 58% free throw shooter. But mentioning BYU knocked off Kentucky, that was an upset in the first Elite Eight game. And we'll see if Seton Hall can return the favor to the Bears. There's an upset with Obiagu burying that first one.
3-score game with 43.5 seconds to go.
Oh man, the Pirates can sense it. Both good for Obiagu, and the lead is 8. After Miles Powell missed a 3 to give Seton Hall the win and a trip to the Final Four, it might end up working out for the Pirates after all. Vital, though, keeping Baylor in the game.
For 5 seconds coming down and getting 2 points, much needed, but they need a steal. They need a quick steal.
Something that Baylor can do. Instead, it's going to be free throws now for McKnight. He is their best free throw shooter, 85% on the year from the stripe.
Substitution on the court.
24 on the game for the senior point guard out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Time running out on the Bears' run in 2020.
Substitution on the court.
You see Seton Hall putting up a century, the first time anyone in this tournament gets to 100.
And right back in the Pirates' hands. Turnovers, the name of the game. They converted on the offensive end. And Baylor basically gave away a shot at the Final Four in overtime.
Quincy McKnight, the hero, number 0.
Substitution in the court.
One more to make it a double-digit lead. What a performance. What a ball game. Not sure why the Baylor Bears still doing cartwheels back there, though.
You know what? It's pretty much all he knows. Now he's in between the divider as well.
Substitution.
And this one's over. Unreal.
Folks, make sure to stick around. We got 2 more games here tonight in the Elite Eight. Vern, Bill, and Tracy will have them for you.
And somehow, it's thrown right back in the hands of Seton Hall. I've never seen a team give away so many possessions in overtime. This is truly remarkable.
Well, I mean, as you said a minute ago, so many of these guys have almost played every single minute. Maybe they just got tired.
Baylor calls off the Dogs. For the second time in program history, Seton Hall is Final Four bound.
And absolutely, Quincy McKnight, 27, 2, 4, and 4. But hey, Alex, let's party like it's 1989 in Newark tonight.
No doubt that is what they will be doing all the way to San Antonio. Seton Hall joins BYU. We have half of our Final Four field with 2 games still to come tonight. Seton Hall over Baylor. The upset pulled, and the Pirates are into the Final Four. Thanks so much for joining us. What a fun one this was here in Charlotte. With Mike Abelson, I'm Alex Perlman saying so long, and we will see you next time for the Final Four here of the Reddit Virtual Tournament.